Hi and welcome to How Not to Highline. While Ryan is busy building his drop tower, I decided to hijack his YouTube channel. Do you know that there are two figure of 8 knots? Two different ways to tie a figure of 8 that look very similar, but they load very differently, and one of them is easier to untie, which I already showed in my video. But now let's find out which one is stronger. Load line goes on the top. And here load line goes in the middle. So let's find out which one is stronger. So do you think that I'm so crazy to do this? Hell yeah! No. I don't want to risk some projectiles flying into my van. So Ryan, do your job.
Hi, I'm Ryan Jinks, and welcome to my garage where we have a slack snap machine. It's a big giant rectangle. Let me show you how it works. On this side we have a fixed bar, which I used to have a set of pulleys on with pulleys that we no longer use. And now we have hydraulics, which is really exciting because it's so much easier to reset. This is here to keep things from flying, since that's what they like to do. And then we have our adjustable whoopee here that goes to our sample. And two dynamometers with kilonewtons here and pounds of force here, just so we get dual readings in case something doesn't go well. So what I have here is a 9.8 millimeter dynamic rope, and that's what we're going to use to test today because this is a very common size of a climbing rope. Now, when you tie a figure 8 or other knots, you typically will do half the knot and then thread it through your harness. Today we're just going to show you how to tie a bight, which is a folded part of the rope, and then you tie it over. If you just go around once, this is called an overhand. It's a very poorly dressed overhand. If you go around one more time, then you have a figure 8, and that is what we're going to be discussing today. If you go around one more twist, that is called a figure 9. And what I don't understand about figure 9s is, based on the logic of that name, you would think that an overhand would be called a figure 7. I thought that was funny. Anyways, so when you tie a figure 8, let's show you the load strand here. Take your bight and you kind of go around, and if you pull, then these strands kind of cross over each other. And that's a little tricky to figure out how to do it ninja style or super clean and dressed without like having to move things around a bunch, because they do say to dress your knot. And you do want your load strand apparently on the bottom and not on the top. And you can check out Hard as Easy's episode right here, or to make it a little bit more convenient, we're just gonna have him show you how to do that right now.
Okay, so actually the problem is with the way most climbing coaches and video tutorials teach how to tie a figure of 8. Because after you pass the rope through the harness, now you need to trace the figure of 8 with your tail. But there are so many ways to do this, and most of these ways lead to a really funky knot. So if you want to see a method which works 100% of the time and is super fast, like so, boom, watch my video.
Okay, so now I'm going to break the two different ways. And what we have here is the load strand, because this is going to get pulled against each other, on the top side here, and the load strand over here going on the bottom right there. So it's important to grunt. Tighten these. Right? So now that we've got our test, we're going to figure out which one is stronger, and then we're going to isolate it and do the exact same one on either side, and then pull them 3 times each to find out if we can get consistent numbers, or if they're just all over the board, which is my theory. So I put 1 kilonewton or 225 pounds of force on the rope so far, and this has the load strand going on the top here, which is incorrect, and squeezing the throat of this. This is a little poofy and it's gonna start deforming. This will probably flip over. On this side, we have the load strand is underneath right there. And you can see how it's squeezing underneath, and this is loose. I use the word loosely. And we will see if that deforms anymore. Let's take it to 2 kilonewtons. All right, so we took it up to 2.15 kilonewtons, or around 450 pounds of force. And you can see here, this is around the force you would be top roping. At the most you would probably get. That's 3. Let's take this side. That's 4.4 kilonewtons, or 1,000 pounds of force, which is around the force you would get when you lead fall. You can see how it's squishing that. This was on top, and now it's kind of going underneath because it's being pulled underneath this guy here. That is interesting when you put 1,000 pounds of force on it. And this one, you can see here, that's the bottom strand and how that is staying in place, but it still looks kind of gnarly. Let's pull to destruction and see which one's stronger. Okay, so this is still pretty deformed, okay? But the correct way was stronger. This broke in this knot, and it broke here when it went around and came back through. And then we have 13.15 kilonewtons. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna make both sides the wrong way, and we're gonna test that 3 times, and both sides the right way, and test that 3 times, and see if we can actually get a variable bigger than, 1 or 2 kilonewtons to see if it actually makes a difference for strength. Wow, that was a lot of work. I'm definitely not going to teach how to do this efficiently. We'll let Ben do that. Let's go break some stuff. You can see the deformed knot. I did pull this as tight as I could, all 4 strands. This side broke, and then, comes undone just a little bit. Wow, 12.75. Well, that was a very interesting result. Look, a scrunchie. I don't think I'm going to be untying that one anytime soon. It feels pretty hard. There's another scrunchie for you. Yeah, it's interesting that the sheath breaks before the core. If you would like to see all of this information recorded, you just have to walk by the Museum of Slack Life to come into the studio, which looks way more organized than it really is, and come to SlackSnap. I'm gonna put all the data on here, and you can see this on slackline.com, and it helps if you donate. This is the homepage, and it has this on the homepage. Also has my kitty cat here. Yeah. You can check it out on the charts and all the raw videos I have as well, including our Bolt Buster stuff. So the numbers don't look that drastically different, but Ben is the engineer, so what do you think, Ben?
What do I think about you forcing me to dig through your Excel to find out that there was almost no difference? Yeah, you need some serious engineering mind to see that the numbers are very similar. But to anyone watching this, give Ryan some love, because the amount of work here is crazy. Ryan broke so much stuff here, it must cost so much money. Wow.
So we have one last goodie for you. What happens if your loop is so big that you end up cross-loading it and pulling it this way? Instead of pulling the, let's see, what is the load strand? This one, instead of pulling this one. So let's find out. I don't even know how to put that back together. That is extremely warm, and it shifted quite a bit before it broke. And the grand reveal. It's a lot stronger if you do it wrong. Okay, so I just got done talking to Ben, and basically it slips, like that's the issue. Otherwise, you basically created a shitty loop. And a loop is technically almost twice as strong as pulling straight in line. And so it's just not how you're supposed to do a loop, because it pulls, as you can see, against the knot so funky that it actually starts to undo it. The knot literally just doesn't hold. So I'm gonna put even a shorter tail probably than this and show you what happens if you do accidentally clip this instead of your belay loop, making it to where you're either gonna get a super strong loop or you're gonna die. So let's just see what happens if you do more of a shorter tail. So as you can see, we got 23.4 kilonewtons, which is also pretty strong for a 13 kilonewton rope, but it's in a loop. And you can see how short this tail is. And if that tail were to slip one more time as the knot folds over on itself, you're gonna die.